Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Welcome to another edition of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. I'm your host, Dave Priest. We get together each and every weekend to kind of give you all the information about real estate that you need to know, whether you're buying, whether you're selling, and Blake Sloan is the man to give you that information. We've got numbers, web addresses, everything for you to get in touch with them. We'll be giving them to you several times throughout the course of the next 30 minutes. I'll give it to you right now, just in case you're ready with your pen and paper. The phone number, as always, is 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. Or you can go to the website, BlakeSloanRadio.com, BlakeSloanRadio.com. If you have any email questions, of course, you can get in touch with Blake at ask@BlakeSloanRadio.com. Blake Sloan with the Sloan Realty Group, giving you all the information this weekend. Without further ado, welcome, Blake. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Glad to be here.
Well, we got a lot of great information all through the next 30 minutes. So give us kind of a rundown of what we'll be hearing.
Yeah, great information from both buyers and sellers, but some huge news regarding the FISCAL Cliff deal and how it affects all of us here locally, anywhere in the housing market. We're going to cover exactly what that is and how it affects you and how it may hurt or benefit you based on that. We also got some insider info for mortgage rates and some things that happen and how that's going to affect even as soon as next week. And we have some national and end-of-year numbers for the housing market, how we compare here locally versus nationally. And we're going to cover the number one mistake that home sellers make who list their house at the beginning of the year, where we briefly touched on it last week, but get a little more detail on that so we can really help them avoid those huge cost mistakes that literally almost over half of home sellers make when they list their house in the beginning of the year. And of course, you got some smoking hot deals for all you guys out there. We got a ton of new properties that will kind of give you a little bit of insight in those, and obviously how to get access to all those at the end of the show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some of the information about the end of the year mistakes, because like you said, we just got a chance to touch on it barely last week, and so there's a lot of things that you should and should not be doing at the beginning of a new year, which is where we are right now. So we'll be looking forward to getting that information very shortly here from Blake Sloan, from Blake Sloan from Blake Sloan Realty Group. If you have been listening for the last several weeks, give you kind of an update as to who Blake is. Blake is the man as far as real estate is concerned. Been called the Real Estate Whiz Kid, featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, other national publications as well. Personally endorsed by Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck. You've heard those commercials here on the radio station. Now, that's all nice accomplishments by themselves. We put them all together, though, kind of unprecedented for our area especially. Now, last week we learned a little about how you, Blake, and your team work together and how a good portion of your successes come from your trademark systems that you've developed to help both buyers and sellers. If you can recap very quickly here, what are those and how do they work?
Absolutely. The one huge thing that I really want to cover is most consumers think that real estate agents are just a commodity. Everybody's the same, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Anybody that's you're looking to buy or sell, no matter where you're at, what your situation is, there's one single thing that determines your success or failure, either buying or selling, and that 100% hands down is the agent that you choose or the team that you choose. And what we actually have entire systems, step by step, that manage all the variables. So both in the buyer process, also in the seller process, there's 100 different variables all the way through the process. And what our systems do is they manage proactively from the very beginning each and every one of those to create maximum leverage at every single point. So we're able to help sellers sell their houses faster and for more money than the average methods. And also for our buyers, we do that where we actually get you the absolute best deals, but we also get you access to the absolute best rates depending on your situation. We get you priority access to all the properties. So the one for buyers is our Unfair Advantage home buying system, where we get you access to all those properties, all those deals. And for sellers, it's our Guaranteed Sold system. And we'll kind of dig into that a little bit, especially when we talk about that leads into the number one mistake that home sellers make at the first of the year. We'll cover because everybody has their listings expire the 31st of December, right? And everybody dumps them on the market, which in turn increases the massive amount of supply. So it's very, very important to differentiate your house, and we'll cover exactly how you do that and the best way to set yourself up for success, no matter what your situation is. But we'll cover that a little bit at the end and cover exactly how both those work.
Yeah, so we've got the mistakes that people make at the beginning of the year. We've got the FISCAL Cliff talk that we're going to be talking about and how that has been affecting real estate. And also coming up in just a second, a lot of real estate has to do with numbers, so we're going to be talking about some numbers in just a second, some statistics here locally and regionally, and all that's all coming up. It's all part of the show. We do it every weekend. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Of course, the radio is where you can listen to it. You can also get it online at blakesloanradio.com, and the phone number, in case you like to call Blake, 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. It's Blake Sloan with the Sloan Realty Group.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what does it take to sell your home fast?
We start at 50, right?
Money in Myrtle Beach.
We start at 50?
Sloan Realty Group has a
About, yeah. Close. Actually, like 51.
Okay.
We're just about almost 6 minutes in right now.
Great, okay.
It's simple. Now, the average realtor in Myrtle Beach sells less than 10 homes a year and attracts a handful of buyers a month. Blake Sloan spends thousands of dollars and attracts hundreds of buyers every month, which creates demand for his homes and helps them sell within weeks, not months, and for top dollar. Now, you risk nothing, since if at any point you're not happy, Blake Sloan, well, he lets you fire him and you pay nothing. Now, the phone call is easy. Not knowing your options or getting bad advice, well, that can cost a small fortune. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or get a free home evaluation at blakesguarantee.com. That website again, blakesguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. I'm your host, Dave Priest. Of course, those numbers, once again, 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. Or you can go on to blakesloanradio.com for a quick link to the website. All the information you need, we're trying to give it to you each and every weekend here. And, of course, a lot of the information in the real estate world has to do with numbers. So let's talk statistics here, Blake. What's going on with some of the year-end stats?
You finally got some of the year-end stats, and most of these are really kind of end of year as far as November. They really haven't got all the full data in December, but most of those year-end numbers, this is on a national level. We'll kind of cover those and how we compare here locally, which we touched on our local numbers here last week. But pretty much every single year-end housing report pointed that the real estate market is recovering nicely, which is great. But just kind of a quick breakdown in regards to existing home sales. The report shows that existing home sales rose 5.9% in November at the end of that, obviously, so November 1st to the end of the month. From the previous month, sales are 14.5% higher than November 2011, and sales are at their highest level since November of 2009. So obviously that's leading to getting towards that recovery we were talking about. The national median existing home price was $180,600. That's up 10% from November of the previous year. That's a really important number, but we'll kind of cover that. I don't really trust those national numbers as much because there's a lot of different things that can skew that, different types of properties, things like that, but very, very positive numbers there. And the good thing, too, we've seen is on a national level, housing inventory at the end of November fell 4.8 months as a supply. So what that means, obviously, less supply, equal demand. That's what leads to property values going up and helping fuel that recovery. If you look at our pending sales report on a national level, pending home sales increased in November for the third straight month and reached the highest level in 2.5 years. And the one cool thing is that the index level is the highest it's been since April 2010, when all those home buyers are rushing to beat the tax credit they had previously. And one really cool fact here is on a year-over-year basis, pending home sales have risen for 19 consecutive months. So we're not quite there in our area here, but what that means is those month-to-month of rising sales is what's going to help stabilize the markets that the average and median prices have been falling, and also help lead to scraping that bottom and going forward towards obviously positive numbers and values increasing. So that's really good. Obviously the Case-Shiller Index report's a big report, and it showed that home prices rose 4.3% in 12 months from October previous year, October 2012, and that's really great information as a whole. What it does, month after month of this stuff happening helps build buyer confidence and consumer confidence across the country. But how we compare in regards to our numbers, we covered them last week. But in regards to the Grand Strand, year to date, that's November, at the end of November, single family sales are up 15.6% versus previous year. So that's huge, growth numbers there in regards to more people buying. And the median home price was at $154,950, and the The only difference there, though, is our median sales price is down 3.15%, which means we're just kind of lagging a little bit farther behind in our recovery. We always see other areas, we kind of follow Florida, Nevada, California, and different areas of statistics, but that's something that we've seen, but we've seen that lesson, which means we're continuing towards that recovery there. In regards to condos, condo sales up 10.5% year-to-date over 2011, and we had a huge jump in condo where November 2011 versus November 2012, the numbers were up 28.4%. That's huge in regards to confidence too, because that means obviously some of those condos are second homes, investment properties, and more people who have the cash or have the ability to purchase from other areas are coming in and investing in real estate, obviously leading towards that recovery as well. So they had a 3.7% drop year-to-date in condos here, so we're lagging a little bit farther behind. I don't feel as national numbers, the whole, median home price rise as a whole, I think is skewed a little bit by certain areas, but we're right along with a lot of great areas who are improving, which is greatly, fueled by low interest rates, buyer confidence, and some stability now in the marketplace. So that's really huge, and obviously a lot of that depends on interest rates and where they're going as well.
Well, the Myrtle Beach area is always lag behind some of the bigger markets, not just in real estate, but in trends and in fads and in fashion and stuff like that. So it just goes to figure that we kind of lag behind. And it sounds kind of funny, but it's kind of the way it is. Absolutely,
and that's the good thing, though. We can plan to win by watching those other areas and really setting ourselves up to win based on what we're seeing in those areas that we follow those trends in most of those categories.
Okay, well, we've got interest rates to talk about. Where are we looking with those?
Some really conflicting, some different news this week. So first, obviously there's a weekly report that comes out, the Freddie Mac report. Basically they study all these different banks and rates and kind of find out what the average rates are for that week. But as of January 3rd, the report that came out, average rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3.34%. And that was I think, 1/10 of a point lower than the previous week, where I think it was 3.35 last week. The 15-year fixed rate mortgage, 2.64%. Ridiculously low rates. Some of the lowest rates we've seen in a lifetime. And that's huge news. But what happened shortly after the Thursday, obviously the Fed met, and their minutes released that. Even this kind of the insider stuff we were talking about, they released their minutes, and in those minutes there was, I guess, some things that alarmed a lot of the markets. And this report came out late Thursday night, but it said that mortgage rates soared to the highest level in months that we've seen in multi-month highs based on those Fed minutes. So it's something we need to watch. But anyone out there, what this means is it triggered a lot of bond sales. So what it is basically from what they saw in those minutes, there's some signs that they may be short. Remember we talked about QE4. The Federal Reserve is going to obviously continue to fuel or fund a lot of mortgage-backed securities. We covered that whole thing in the other show. But long story short, there's some, and I'm going to read it, where there's some selling pressure on it, that those minutes stated that the time frame may be shortened or called into question after today's data. So what that means, that alarmed a lot of banks. We saw rates jump up in the overnight rates. So we're going to watch that report next week and see. But anybody out there buying, talking about that clock ticking, we talked before how a 1% increase in interest rates can make a massive difference in your buying power, your monthly payment. So anyone out there on the fence thinking about it, you definitely want to take a jump at it and be able to take advantage of both low prices and rates while they are low. But it's something definitely a little bit alarming that we definitely want to watch going forward. And I'm still kind of counting down the minutes to see that new report next week and kind of how it all plays out.
Well, as soon as we get the reports, then we'll definitely get it, and I'm sure you'll be posting it on the website as well.
Absolutely. We always post any breaking news or new things like that on there for everyone. So definitely always keep track. Or if you want to write, have a question about it, always go on there. Even if it's not, during our show, we'll be able to help you get that right information right to you. And anybody also, we actually worked a deal out because of the amount of volume we do as a team, where we can get our listeners a certificate, when you're getting your mortgage, for an additional 0.125% discount on the rate. So it's a massive benefit for the long term as well. You can get more information on the website or call us anytime.
Fantastic. And as far as those numbers and addresses and stuff go, well, you could just go to BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's the website, BlakeSloanRadio.com. And if you have any email questions, go to ask@BlakeSloanRadio.com. The phone number, in case you want to use your phone, 808-SOLD, area code 843-808-SOLD is the phone number to get in touch with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. You're listening to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Hello, Myrtle Beach. It's Glenn Beck. And if you need to sell your
Were we,
you don't have to experience
15 minutes left?
Yeah, we're at 15 right now, so we'll have, when we get back from this commercial, about 14 left.
All right.
Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group that guarantees to sell your property at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake is going to pull out his checkbook and buy it himself. The Wall Street Journal ranks Blake among the top 100 real estate agents in North America, and I personally met Blake, and I can tell you that his national marketing program is unparalleled. Most agents in Myrtle Beach, they stick a sign in your yard, maybe a few balloons, and then they hope the buyer finds you. But Blake spends tens of thousands of dollars attracting buyers from all over the world that come to Myrtle Beach. That helps his properties sell fast and for top dollar. Blake even gives you the option to get out of your contract at any point if you're not happy with his level of service, but you never will. He is the real estate agent I wish I could have called, Blake Sloan. Call him now at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD, or visit Blake's website and see his interview on NBC. That's blakesguarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 8 or Sunday morning at 9. Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. You know, Blake, big news obviously in the past 2 weeks. We've touched on it obviously. The last couple of shows that we've had was whether or not we were going to go over the fiscal cliff, how we are going to avert it. Well, we obviously know by now that it has been averted to some degree, at least for a little while. We know that there's still going to be some increases in payroll taxes and this and that, so it's not going to be a total win for the person out there. But how has all of this affected real estate and numbers, sales, and try to break it down if you can.
Especially just related to just the housing, market only, or the housing world, we drastically avoided it. We came out very, very, very well. And just kind of the key things we'll hit. We talked about, some of the major issues, the things that could happen if they didn't. But the housing market as a whole came out very, very good. And the biggest reason is obviously housing drives the entire economy. And that's one of the biggest things that's only really one of the few things been positive in economic news in the past year or so. But some of the big things, and the most important thing is that mortgage cancellation relief we talked about, which was that 2007 Mortgage Debt Forgiveness Act, where what that meant is basically anyone who had any part of their principal loan either reduced, they went through a foreclosure, went through a short sale. What it was previously is the way the laws were set up, you were taxed or 1099 on that difference. So if you had a $300,000 house, let's say you got foreclosed on, it sold for $150,000, you would then owe taxes on that extra $150,000, and it'd be just like getting a 1099 for another $150,000 net on the end of your income. What the major thing was there, that would drastically hinder recovery of the housing market as a whole. One, because if people can't make a mortgage payment, it's going to be hard to pay, taxes on an extra $150,000 that you didn't make, and that's hard. Where if you think no matter what tax bracket you're in, you're looking at another, $20,000, $40,000, $45,000 tax bill. That's not realistic to get paid that year. And what happens, that leads to judgments, other things that will not allow them to buy again. That person did a short sale. We've had some of our clients short sale. They bought within a year. Some 9 months later, bought a house, be able to salvage their credit versus going through a foreclosure. But one of the big things is there's that program of principal reduction, and that's one of the things that came through the big Mortgage Settlement Act, where the robo-forms, obviously the bigger servicers, came to, I think, a $26 billion settlement. And part of that is that some of these lenders will give a principal reduction to these people that let them stay in their homes. The big thing here, if that did not get extended, that would deter anybody from doing that. So now this is going to allow people to stay in their homes that possibly would have been facing foreclosure, who would have lost their home. Now, how does this help everybody else? This helps keep that supply lower, right, versus another flood or huge flood of foreclosures for people who negative equity situations, people who may be struggling, things like that, where this is going to allow people to stay in their homes, one, but two, anyone that's really underwater or is struggling as a homeowner now, this is going to allow you to get out of it, especially within our office. We're very good at short sales, and we pretty much have one of the highest success rates in the country. And what this allows you to do is get out from under that, be able to get out from under your situation and be able to move on. And like I said, we have programs to help our short sale sellers get back into a house and purchase in less than a year. So that's a big thing where this helps loan modifications, short sales, all the stuff, anybody in that situation. The one thing you want to check our site for is there's a form you get before. It's, I think, a 1099-C exempt form that the bank should send you. And if you didn't get yours, if you're in that situation, whatever it may be, submit on there. We'll make sure we can show you how to do that. The other thing that's really, I guess the second most important thing to us is the mortgage interest deduction, right? That was something that they're supposedly on the chopping block, and that's one of the biggest reasons that people purchase, because that's usually one of the largest deductions that people have, right? So you're at $2,000 a month payment. All the interest is usually on the front end of these loans, so you're able to write, $24,000 off, depending on what that is there. And that's a big difference. That's one of the main reasons we see people purchase, and along, with the others of private ownership, build equity, things like that. But that's something that's really going to help fuel and stabilize us going forward, right? Because they say some of the younger generations aren't really into home ownership as much because a lot of them came up through the, the crisis or whatever you want to call it. So very helpful to that, to make sure that that stays there. And I'm sure a lot of people can be happy to get that. But there's also another thing that's really important where they're actually allowed for deduction of mortgage interest premium. So there's the mortgage mortgage insurance that comes along. So if anybody has a loan that's usually, if you have, let's say you have a higher ratio than an 80-20, so let's say you didn't put 20% down or whatever it may be, there's mortgage insurance there. Well, the ability to write that off as well expired. Most people didn't realize that at the end of 2011. So what they did is they actually made this go back, and it went retroactive. So anyone making below $110,000, they extended that through end of 2013, made it retroactive back to 2012. And it's kind of complicated there, but anybody.
So many things with the fiscal cliff has been complicated.
But what happens is people just stack up and stack up and stack up. People don't realize it until it's too late, and it can really, like I said, turn people off of taking the opportunity to buy and certain things there. But the other big thing is, obviously, most people's biggest asset is what? Their house. Mm-hmm. So one great thing that we were really worried about and watching was capital gains tax, where the one big thing that we wanted to make sure we held on to was the ability to exempt your personal residence. And so that kind of stayed intact, where any individual is filing as $400,000 or less, or $450,000 as a couple, they're able to avoid that basically if it's their primary residence. I'm going to go in detail of exactly those requirements there, but that's kind of the whole thing where you're able to exclude, $250,000, $500,000 exclusive, where on your principal residence you're not getting hit those capital gains tax, which is very beneficial, because that's going to allow people to build long-term equity, help add to their wealth, and that's one of the second largest drivers, people owning a home and wanting to build that long-term equity in their life. So, and even if you look at it historical, obviously the market's gone down since 2004 and 5, but look at the long-term average. Housing performs so much better than the stock market and other areas through that entire process. So there's a few other things in there too that kind of aren't that major. There's some leasehold improvements where that's kind of something that was really important. We'll post that on the website. And there's the energy efficient tax credit, where a 10% tax credit up to $500 for homeowners who make energy efficient improvements to their existing homes. That was extended to end of 2013 and also made retroactive back to cover 2012. So these are really important. Definitely check out the site, because, and I think we actually already posted a lot of this stuff on the site for you guys. Right. So it should already be there. But this is stuff that you may want to read through. All right, does this apply to me? Because things are obviously changing like crazy, and they're hearing so many different things. So these are the actual the numbers here. That's really important. So, and there's also some news and stuff on the estate tax that we posted on there, and it has links to all the actual links to the bills and things like that. But great news for anybody out there, because guess what? If these wouldn't have happened, it would have hurt the housing market as a whole, right, and everybody would be taking a hit, even further. And we're getting almost out of that hole. We want to make sure we continue that momentum into that housing recovery that can be stable and be more long term.
Well, we were worried about the fiscal cliff. We didn't want to get over the cliff or get into the hole. So I think we've averted that. And for more information on all of this, what Blake was just talking about, you can see it in detail on the website at BlakeSloanRadio.com. That's BlakeSloanRadio.com. You can also call to get specifics. 808-SOLD, that's 808-SOLD for Blake Sloan with Sloan Realty Group. It's the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the #1 mistake that home sellers make in the first of the year that could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Don't make those mistakes. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. So what does it take to sell your home fast and for the most money in Myrtle Beach?
Okay, when we get back from this, we're going to have about 3.5 to 4 minutes.
Okay.
Not much. If we don't play the commercial at the end, that'll give you like 4.5 minutes. Just depends on if you want to play the commercial again.
I'll be quick, 2 minutes. I'll be 2 minutes for that, and then we'll just go to the deals.
Okay, cool. We'll do that. Not a problem.
and helps them sell within weeks, not months, and for top dollar. Now, you risk nothing, since if at any point you're not happy, Blake Sloan, well, he lets you fire him and you pay nothing. Now, the phone call is easy. Not knowing your options or getting bad advice, well, that can cost a small fortune. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or get a free home evaluation at blakesguarantee.com. That website again, blakesguarantee.com.
Welcome back to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. I'm Dave Priest, your host on Hot Talk 99.5 WRNN. Last week we touched on something very, very briefly, the number one mistakes that home sellers make at the first of the year that could cost them thousands, and we've only got a couple of minutes here to get into that, but what is the big mistake, Blake?
I'll make it quick and simple. So what happens is most everybody, let's say they get into a listing agreement with their agent or whatever, and usually 6 months, or it can be any amount of time, but we find that so many of them, literally 4 to 5 times more than usual, expire on December 31st. So what happens, anybody that still obviously wants to sell, they do what? They go relist it the first week of January. And we also see anybody that's thinking about selling all the way through the holidays, they're like paralyzed. So after the holidays, after the holidays, after the holidays. So we see a huge flood of new listings that come on the market, which we talk about supply and demand. That's a lot more supply, the same amount of demand. That's going to hurt price, right? So there's so much more competition out there. And if we look at the whole average in our marketplace, over 50% of homes fail to sell anyways. That's not even counting, the times that there's a huge flood of homes hit the market. So you have more competition, more chance of failure with all that happening. It's really, really important to make sure that you either interview, find the agents that really have performing systems and ways to make sure they get your house sold fast. With all that competition, they differentiate your house, whether it be through staging, through other opportunities like we use high definition video, professional photography, pre-inspections, things like that, to make sure you're separating from all those other competition out there in your neighborhood, even the same price range, to make sure you're able to do that. And what happens is people just either relist with the same person, which wasn't working the first 6 months, right? There's probably not a whole lot that's going to change.
Right. And
the other part is, hey, look, I may know someone, the first person that calls me, and guess what? You're right back down that same path,
right,
with better chance of failure than success. And that's the one big mistake, is they either just relist, or they don't really plan, or really, I guess, you interview different people to choose who they're going to go with and compare them. So call us. We'd love to compare ourselves to anyone out there and show you number by number how we compare, where we show you proven versus just promises.
Got a little bit more than a minute left. We always like to end off every show with like the hot spoken deal of the week. It's kind of part of your Unfair Advantage program. So what's the spoken deal?
We had a huge deal of that 4-bedroom condo last week. There was a lockout on the golf course. Boom, we sold that instantly. It's gone now.
Wow.
We have another deal. It's in Tidewater foreclosure. Great shape. Actually, the bank fixed it up. And it's in gated community. Obviously, a great neighborhood there.
I love Tidewater. Priced
very, very well on the golf course there, too. We actually have 2 in that neighborhood. And we have a ton more we got prices on, and we're going to be getting a bunch more after the sale. So our whole system will get you priority access to all those. Go to the website, submit, we'll get you access that very minute listed, or call us, and we'll send you exclusive list, match your exact criteria, and you can beat most of the realtors to them.
Well, Blake, it's a new year, and we've got some new issues to deal with, obviously, as far as the fiscal cliff, some things that are new on that. All that information is going to be available. They can just go to your website, right?
Absolutely. Anything you want to know, post on there. We love to talk about certain topics, whatever helps, but we're definitely hitting the ground running. We got very, very lucky with the cliff, so definitely a great year. Looking forward.
All right, well, 2013 should be fantastic if you are buying or selling with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. This has been the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. If you need any more information on anything that you've heard today, the website again is blakesloanradio.com. That's blakesloanradio.com. His phone number, as always, is area code 843-808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD if you'd like to get in touch with Blake Sloan of the Sloan Realty Group. We'll talk to you again next week on the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.